Mariupol is often mentioned in the context of the great tragedy that befell the city and its residents because of Russia's attack on Ukraine. But today we want to tell you one of the hundreds of inspiring stories. It's the story of local residents who loved their job and were able to leave the city and continue their business. This is a story about life and learning. My name is Catherine Litvinchova, and this is the second season of the podcast UA, The Day That We Survived. The Russian war against Ukraine has an impact on the entire world. Food blockade, rising prices and energy blackmail are only a part of the damage caused by the Russian Federation, and we cannot be silent about it. You can support our efforts as an independent media and a podcast platform on Patreon via the link in the description. Due to the military hostilities in Ukraine, many businesses and institutions have been forced to relocate. Today's episode focuses on the Mariupol city Lyceum, the only educational institution that managed to successfully relocate from Mariupol and now invites students to continue their offline education in Kyiv. Andriy Holutyag has been working in the Lyceum for 24 years. And for the last 5 years he has been heading the institution as a principal. The first thing Andriy mentions is how successful his school and its students were in peacetime.
Минулого року ми святкували наше 25-річчя. Між іншим, святкували ми його в драмтеатрі.
Last year we celebrated our 25th anniversary. By the way, we celebrated it in the drama theatre, which got destroyed this year. And we are the last ones who had such a splendid event there. We invited all the alumni and all the teachers who never worked with us. Various guests were in attendance, from members of the Mariupol City Council to our partners from different countries. It was a new kind of school. I mean, in specialized education.
Які мали бути добре підготовлені для того, щоб вступати далі у вищі навчальні заклади. Я вже 5-й рік директор Маріупольського міського ліцею. Я став вже директором на новій основі. Мається на увазі, були зміни до закону про освіту, і я вже йшов на конкурсні.
It was an institution for gifted children to prepare them well for college entry exams. I have been the principal for 5 years, elected on a competitive basis according to the new law on education. I passed exams and made public presentations. Teachers, students and parents supported my candidacy. So I became the principal. I think the Lyceum was quite successful. It made the list of the top 100 Ukrainian educational institutions. This list refers to the rating of independent government tests, etc., but I think our Lyceum is much more than tests prep. We have a very progressive movement of school subject competitions. Our students achieve great success at international competitions in different subjects. Last year we took home first place at the national competition in physics. The Lyceum has multiple specialities. We offer physics, math, computer science classes and of course foreign languages. We were the best in the Donetsk region. Even summer holidays were packed with events.
Кожне літо у нас літо дуже насичене, починаючи з літнього табору, де діти на 2-3 тижні виїжджають на природу, так, і вони живуть в палатках разом з вчителями, вони там досліджують флору і фауну, плюс ми додаємо туди ще мовні якісь години, коли приїжджають вчителі або іноземці, приїжджають ми ще туди в Німецьку.
During a summer camp, children went camping for 2 or 3 weeks. Teachers and kids lived in tents and explored flora and fauna. In addition, we invited native speakers for foreign language classes there. We included German, French and English. We cooperated with the Goethe Institute, so twice a year our children went to Germany for free, lived with German families and attended classes. Then little Germans came to us as well. The last visit took place before the pandemic in 2019. We also cooperated with the French embassy. The French ambassador and ministers of the French government visited us in 2019. Our students also went to England. There was the Flex program from the USA. Teachers came to us for language camps.
Різні волонтери, які приїжджали до нас, які також робили мовні табори. Тобто багато всього в різних напрямках ми робили, звичайно.
The Lyceum had a rather intense program, but it didn't include a full-scale war. In the spring of 2014, when the militants of the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic controlled Mariupol for almost a month, one could see the burned-down city council building from the windows of the Lyceum, where Andriy worked. Located across the street from the Lyceum, the city council passed several times from the control of militants and pro-Russian activists to the Ukrainian army. Eventually, the armed forces and volunteer units liberated the city from the occupiers. 8 years later, Mariupol has turned into a cultural and economic center of Donetsk region. Numerous international grants and projects supported its development. Andriy believed that the Russian world and devastation it brings with it are in the past.
Ми не планували, ми не сподівалися, що так станеться. Звичайно, ми якось всі переживали, що щось...
We could not imagine. We did not expect that this would happen. All of us worried about what was happening in Ukraine and the world, yet we still could not imagine that such a thing could happen. Mariupol has developed rapidly, and since 2014 it has changed dramatically. If in 2014 some people, even teachers, had doubts about where and how life would be better, in these 8 years everything has changed. From the city with its infrastructure, parks, fountains, etc., to people's mindsets. People understood where we were going and what we were doing. I could not even imagine that there would still be people waiting for the Russian world or something like that.
Уявити, що ще там можуть бути люди, які там чекають руський мир чи ще щось таке.
On the 24th of February, when Russia started bombing Ukrainian cities, the teachers of the Mariupol city Lyceum started to work remotely. A few days later, when Russia attacked the infrastructure facilities of Mariupol, it was impossible to continue studying.
Потім, звичайно, з 1 березня перервалося все постачання.
On March the 1st, electricity, water and heat were cut off. This time was the most difficult because nobody knew what was happening or who was where.
Що відбувається, ніхто не знав, де хто знаходиться. Слава Богу, забігаючи наперед, я скажу, що слава Богу, що у нас всі живі залишилися і вчителі, і діти.
Thank God both our teachers and children are alive. In our Zoom meetings, each principal had to report to the Department of Education how many of their teachers and students were killed. It was horrible. Thank God I didn't have to say this. But many of our students lost their parents. They were murdered right in front of their children. And we also have kids whose parents are still in Russian captivity.
Батьків загинуло дітей, і були такі випадки прямо на очах дітей, прямо вбиті батьки. І також у нас є діти, яких батьки ще до сих пір в полоні.
Andriy describes how his colleagues tried to keep in touch and helped each other to evacuate. Teachers hiding in Azovstal plant also managed to escape from the Russian-occupied city. Another teacher who taught Ukrainian left with the help of her former students, Lyceum graduates.
Мої вчителі – патріоти. Так, вони підтримували завжди і мене, і всі.
My teachers are patriots. They always supported me and all our undertakings. They understood where they were, in what country, and we never had any issues about it. Therefore, when the opportunity came to leave for the territory controlled by Ukraine by April 3rd or so, most teachers had already left.
Більша частина педагогічного колективу виїхала. У кожного, ви розумієте, що у кожного доля, у кожного вчителя, то можна знімати фільм, писати книжку і так далі, як вони вибиралися. У нас просто були вчителі, які були в Азовсталі. Тобто вони там...
You know, you can make a film, write a book about the fate of each teacher and how they got out. We had teachers who stayed in the bomb shelters of Azovstal for a long time. They lived on the left bank, so going down to Azovstal was easier for them. When the occupiers say that our Azov soldiers held civilians hostage, it's not true.
Це неправда, бо мої вчителі сиділи там, і десь, певно, місяць пройшов, поки вони там були, їх там було 80 людей, купа дітей. Коли азовці знайшли їх на кінець, вони кажуть, як ви тут? Ну, там величезне, там ж місто бомбосховище, так?
My teachers were there for a month. There were 80 of them, with many children. When the Azov fighters found them, "How are you here?" they asked. This whole city was a bomb shelter. And when the Azov soldiers found them, they filmed them and started talking about civilians waiting to evacuate from there.
Нас до останнього залишалася вчителька української мови. Ніяк вона не могла виїхати, там були особисті якісь там проблеми, там батьки хворі і так далі, але вона була настільки настроєна.
Our teachers gave an interview. Then a humanitarian convoy and a green corridor were organized, and our teachers left. But still there were many teachers left in the city, and one of the last was a Ukrainian language teacher. She could not leave due to personal reasons, but she was very determined, and so were her parents. They let her go. But it was quite difficult for her to leave. We keep in touch with our alumni all the time, and through Facebook they managed to launch a crowdfunding campaign to help her with money and advice. Natalia, a journalist who works for the Voice of Ukraine, organized it. And we managed to send the last teachers to Kyiv, and now the Ukrainian teachers are in Kyiv as well. Thanks to social media, we are one big family. We kept in touch and rooted for everyone, and also kept in touch with students and their parents.
Ми підтримали всі зв'язки, ми болівали за кожному. І також в цей час ми тримали зв'язки з дітьми і з батьками.
In early April, the Lyceum became the only educational institution in Mariupol that resumed online learning. Lessons continued in May, and in June children celebrated the end of the school year, also online. The Mariupol City Council supported the school and offered to move to Kyiv so that Lyceum could start teaching offline in autumn.
Я думаю, що при будь-яких обставинах, там, ми не знаємо ще, коли Маріуполь визволять, але при будь-яких обставинах Маріупольський міський ліцей повинен існувати.
We do not know when Mariupol will be liberated, but the Mariupol Lyceum must exist under any circumstances. I think we are doing just fine with the remote instruction. We are doing well. Let's keep it and keep working. Then the Mariupol City Council came up with another idea. Why don't we leave and do offline learning? About 2/3 of the teachers are in Kyiv, and we are waiting for schools to start in person.
Офлайн навчання, але поки що всі працюємо онлайн. Маріуполь ж велике місто, так, але всього-навсього 4 ліцеї: технологічний, технічний, міський і мужський ліцей, так. І так сталося, що ні один ліцей, крім нас, не вижив, але в кожному ліцеї були чудові, класні спеціалісти, професіонали і вчителі. І так сталося, що зараз ми будемо називатися Маріупольський ліцей міста.
Currently, we all work remotely. Mariupol is a big city, but there are only 4 lyceums: technological, technical, urban, and maritime. They're all closed except for us, but there were excellent specialists and professionals working in each of them. Now we will be called Mariupol Lyceum of Kyiv. The Kyiv City Council will keep governance over us. I'm so content I could unite these teachers, both from Lyceums and Mariupol schools. We have become a center of Mariupol school education, and I am very proud of it. Our goal was to preserve our teachers. Each of them is a self-sufficient individual. I cherish them because they are in Kyiv now. There are cool schools and lyceums here, so I'm a little bit afraid. We know that even when we decided to move, our teachers already had job offers.
Круті школи, круті ліцеї. І вже коли навіть знали про те, що ми переїжджаємо, нашим вчителям почали пропонувати якісь там нові свої вакансії.
However, the move to the capital was not easy for the Mariupol teachers.
Знаєте, я коли тут в Києві розмовляв Я кажу, розумієте, мої вчителі знімають квартири, а мені кажуть, тут всі знімають квартири, і вчителі всі знімають квартири. Я кажу, я розумію, але кажу, розумієте, маріупольські...
Having conversations in Kyiv, I often mentioned, teachers have to rent apartments here. And I was told that everyone rents apartments in Kyiv. The thing is, Mariupol teachers are different. They fled the city with just what they had on. They have nothing, no basic winter clothes, shoes, spoons, forks, pillows, nothing. It's very difficult. I understand that many people rent apartments, but at least they have basic necessities. Again, what warms us is not clothes, but our ideas, what we want to bring to children. Our teachers are so passionate that they are ready to work day and night. We sometimes cover these everyday problems. We look at other things that are important in life, and when we do something important and kind.
Коли ми робимо щось велике і добре, то і нам сил додається з цієї сторони також.
On the 8th of September, the Kyiv City Council officially decided to establish and operate the Mariupol Lyceum in the capital.
Починати завжди складно. Ось купа всякої там бюрократичної.
It is always difficult to start. There is a lot of bureaucracy, but we are dealing with it. At the same time, we are preparing the premises for work. In Pusha Vorista, we will share it with the boarding school number 4.
Бачить, здається, які мають проблеми з зором. Ось. Але вони в основному там молодша школа і середня, а у нас, наоборот, тільки старша школа. Плюс ми якось там розділили поверхи, і я думаю, що ми будемо якось нормально співіснувати, але це, звичайно, потрібно ще багато працювати.
We have only a high school, of course. We still have a lot of work to do. We collaborate with various donors, sponsors who want to equip classrooms and provide tablets. There is a lot of work. We have little sleep, but we know where we are going.
Approximately 270 children registered to study at the Lyceum in the 2022-2023 academic year. 60 of them expressed a desire to study in person in Kyiv. And says that children who still remain in occupied Mariupol also want to study in the Ukrainian Lyceum.
І в нас ще є дуже багато дітей, які в Маріуполі.
There are many children who stayed in Mariupol but are enrolled in our Lyceum. They sit somewhere and speak Ukrainian quietly so that neighbors, collaborators or occupants do not hear them.
Колаборанти чи окупанти і так далі. Це також, знаєте, так деколи.
It gives you the chills. You realize that the child may be putting themselves in danger, but on the other hand, when a kid wants to have this education, turns up for a class, we can't refuse. Although both children and parents take risks.
Можливо, десь вона ризикує, або її батьки ризикують.
The Lyceum management wants to create opportunities to join in-person classes for Mariupol residents who currently reside in other cities. Therefore, they plan to create a boarding school on the basis of the Lyceum.
Не всі ж можуть переїхати знову-таки в Київ, так? Хтось вже залишився в Дніпрі, хтось в Запоріжжі, хтось...
Not everyone can move to Kyiv. Some live in Dnipro, some in Zaporizhzhia, Uman. They still want to study with us. Offline learning is still better. It gives us knowledge.
І тому вони живуть там в Дніпрі, наприклад, а будуть привозити дитину на тиждень до нас. Дитина буде тут вчити жити, спати, їсти, і потім буде їхати назад на вихідні.
So parents will bring their children to us for a week. They will live here, sleep, eat and go home for the weekend. We are grateful for the Kyiv authorities and the Obolon Department of Education. They wanted to help, so there will be funds to provide accommodation and meals for both teachers and children.
Були заплановані в мережі закладів Києва і для дітей, щоб вони жили, щоб вони харчувалися і так далі.
In September, Andriy managed to gather his teachers together for the first time in Kyiv. Here is what he says about that meeting.
Ви не уявляєте, коли ми зібралися там всі вчителі 1 вересня, наконець побачити, бо тому все онлайн, телефони.
You can't imagine the feeling. When we gathered all the teachers on the 1st of September, when we finally saw each other, what a unity of souls, probably because we are Mariupolites, and nobody understands us better than a fellow Mariupol resident.
Страждання, горе і таке інше, але, розумієте, і це настільки класно, і це так допомагає всім вчителям, знаєте, знову знайти якийсь шлях.
It helps teachers to find some way to go forward again, some motivation. They find a little happiness in life. It helps to work, and of course we have faith to return to Mariupol one day. I have already told my teachers.
Я сказав всім вчителям, кажу, ви такі молодці, ви найкращі, і коли вже ми прийдемо в Маріуполь знову, ви всі станете директорами шкіл і заново відновите освіту Маріуполя. Бо це є наш фронт.
You are the best. When we return home, you will all become school principals. You will restore education in Mariupol again. This is our front, our fight.
Бо це впливає більше, і це дає більше користі гарного світу.
Wars are not won by generals. Wars are won by school teachers, Otto von Bismarck once said. Ukraine understands that. So does Russia, trying to put pressure on teachers and parents living under their occupation. According to Petro Andrushenko, advisor to the mayor of Mariupol, both 1st and 11th graders were forced to sit through an hour of how to love their homeland explanations, accompanied by the Russian anthem. The bombed schools did not have time to prepare for in-person learning, so most children keep attending online classes. Although the liberation of Mariupol is still ahead, Andriy Holodak and his team of teachers are convinced that even the impossible is possible.
Ми також сумнівалися, ми на останньому дзвонику, коли говорили, кажуть, там діти, я так сподіваюся, що ми всі побачимося, що в Києві, що влада зможе.
In conversations before the end of the school year, we hope to see each other in Kyiv soon. Many people were skeptical about it, but we met each other on the 1st of September. A small dream has come true. Now we are waiting for a big dream to be fulfilled, for Mariupol to return to the Ukrainian flag, for us to return home and continue to work for the benefit of children, Ukraine, and live peacefully.
Працювати на благо дітей, України і мирно, гарно жити.
Me, Catherine Litvinchova, share this story with you. If you find it inspiring, please share our podcast with your friends and support our project on Patreon. All links you can find in the episode description. Stay safe and listen to Ukrainians. This podcast was created with the support of the Embassy of the Czech Republic in Ukraine.